Hmm. Hey, Mr. Wayne Taylor. How are you? Stockholm's Byron, Daniel, Barry, Alexi, Soda. Alright, seems like everybody's here well enough. Let's get straight into it. Just cleaning up the desk after I had to fix up an iPhone 10, or iPhone X. Had a bad battery, and because of the bad battery, it had delaminated the screen, or caused the screen to split out, so like separate out from its carrier. So that's always good fun. Just trying to turn off the autofocus on this, even though it is actually off. I love that. Just clean up the workbench a little bit more. It's amazing how much crap you leave lying around between jobs. Do you train? Yes, I do. I have how you pronounce it, Kian Lee or whatever. Yeah, I have one of those. So I tried to do a battery data transfer. That didn't seem to work on this one. It did read the battery data, but I couldn't transfer it to the new battery, so I'm guessing that the new battery wasn't quite original. But it does seem to work, and iOS hasn't reported it as having a problem, so I'm fine with that. Hey Chris, Scotty from Scotland. Just put my tools back away so it's ready for next time. Hey Jim, welcome. Okay. I have to test to see if this screen's okay. It's... what is this one here? See if it's okay and see if I can just use it as a test screen. I think it's got problems because it delaminated. But I need to mark it. Clearly the batteries are gone, but I might take the board out of this battery assembly, because sometimes I think you can just reuse them and solder them onto a new battery. This is where I need post-it notes, so I can put a post-it note on the screen, say, please test me. Test IPX, as opposed to an XS, which is quite similar, but they have different frames. That over there. We're almost there, we're almost there. Just don't want to have little bits of adhesive and just, you know what I mean. All the little niggly things that get in your way more than usual. Now we're going to continue on with that 3437 that we were scratching the corrosion away with the other day. Let's see if we can get it up and running. Oh, that does remind me, I need to put back together that 1502, the one that we did the battery replacement on, and then ultrasonic the board. So best we do that before I forget. So we'll go to the overhead. Let's see, find that 1502 is set up. Here we go. Because they'll want to be shipped out tomorrow most likely. Easier if I do it now while I remember. And if I can remember where I put the thermal transfer compound. Hey Mark, how's it going? Very quiet Christmas, which is pretty much how I like it. I'm not a big fan of Christmas in general. Hey Chris. Hey Paul Howell. Is this Wayne Taylor? 57,000-year-old wolf pup found intact just popped up on your... yeah. All the permafrost melting and these things popping up. Maybe I will come to like Christmas a little more once I have settled down. Yeah, have my own property, things like that. And I can afford to take the time to do nothing. But currently for me, Christmas means delays on getting payments, delays on getting items, just delays, delays and delays. It is interesting that whenever the topic of extended shopping hours comes up around here in this community, and I'm sure it's the same with many communities, one of the first sort of comments you see coming up a lot are people saying you shouldn't have extended shopping hours because what about all the staff who want to spend time with their families? They should have a holiday too. And the problem I have with that is, one, you're running a rostered schedule anyway. Two, people can declare that they're going to have the holiday at that time if they've got family. And three, a lot of people, they're single, they want to just earn money, they've got nothing else to do during the period, so it is actually beneficial for their mental health and wallet if they can have the opportunity to work over the Christmas period. So you get all these people saying, no, think of the families, and it's like, well, not everybody has family, and not everybody follows Christmas. Some people just are happy to work, so let them work if you can. But no, won't someone think of the children? So it's funny how free market goes, the liberties and all that goes out the door when it comes to people casting the scenario on their own personal situation. Author thing, yeah, it just turns out it was my body fat obstructing the path. I know it sounds very boring, but that's pretty much what it was. It was just, as soon as I shifted the transmitter pack to the right side of my hip, we're all good. See, Wayne Taylor, except for this last Christmas, I worked 34 straight Christmases. Yeah, so I personally don't have a problem working Christmas, never really have. Yeah, once I get out of school, once I stop getting Christmas presents first thing in the morning, it was like, I want to do something. Yeah. For a lot of people, getting out there and have the opportunity to work double time and stuff like that is a great money making opportunity. Now, I really dislike reassembling this particular board because it is such a schlep to stop the flexes getting snagged. Okay, did we get it right that time? Alright, I think we're in. Fortunately, at least these rubber shrouds on this particular model you can put on afterwards. Hey Penov, good to see you. What does here? Yeah, I mean, I work every Christmas still, pretty much. My favourite thing to do for Christmas is to sleep, if I can. If I'm going to be forced into a holiday with nothing to do, it's one of the few days that I feel very comfortable in just sleeping the whole day. And night. Just sort of wake up an hour or two here and there, stumble around, get some food, make sure the pets are okay, stuff like that, then go back to sleep. It doesn't hold a strong significance to me. Another thing I wish they would do is sort out the whole Easter thing. I think, ideally, if I had control of the holidays, my thing would be that, let's say we've got 12 or 13 holidays in a year, public holidays in a year, which probably is about right. I would say, look, instead of scattering them all over the place and clustering them here and there, why not just every month have one long weekend? And at least then it's consistent, predictable. I mean, I know you can check the schedule and all that, but when you get these events like Easter that then run into, for Australians, Anzac Day, and you're not this 5 or 6 day dead zone that you can't do anything, yeah, it's a real drama. We're not going to talk about oh, right, okay, here we go. E-bike fights are on. I mean, people aren't even nice at Christmas anyway. Half the time people don't want to be going anywhere. They don't want to go to the lunches. They don't want to go to the dinners. Most of the time people just want to kick back and do nothing. To be fair, it's probably more my introverted type side screaming out over all this. Must have a parade each day for the year. I just think with the fact that everybody wants to have holidays, but everybody wants everything to be open at the same time. So why not just have it that you can pick and choose when you want to have your holidays, but you can't force other people to not have their holidays. The other thing I don't like is that the local large supermarket here is forced to stay closed during these times, but the local operated ones get to stay open and charge people 50% premium on what we're normally used to paying. So it's okay for those people, those independent stores, to stay open, have workers who should be with their families, and you get charged extra because you were dumb enough to not prepare, according to the people in the comments. But it's not okay for the big store to be open and hire people because it's taking away time from their families. So I really do hate that difference there. And I know they say, well, if the local stores didn't get that time exclusive to themselves, they wouldn't be able to survive. They're not going to be profitable. And it's like, well, that's kind of extortion. That's kind of like tariffs, taxation. You know, we shouldn't have to be paying through the nose in order to sustain a business that isn't viable. So that really gets my goat. I mean, I get it, I understand, but at the same time, oh no, man, been years. It's been a while since this has happened, but I've got a broken off Wi-Fi antenna cable. That sucks. That really sucks. Travis, you tell me what grinds your gears. Oh, that's the other thing. These people that go on about family and local shops and all that sort of stuff, they're usually also the ones that are griping that the bottle shop isn't open on Christmas or New Year's. So yeah, it's always a case of people squawking about whatever wants to suit them. I mean, I guess that's human nature. That's what we do. We try to maximize our own advantage. Right, so that's a pretty clean pull out of that, but I hate working on this. I mean, I personally, because I don't drink, I don't care, but at the same time, I do find it amusing to... These people would like to have bottle shops open, but they can't stand for a supermarket being open. No siree. Yeah, Travis, I guess that's what I'm doing right now too. I guess I should put myself in that list. It is a bit tricky. It's like, how do you complain about the people who whinge and complain about things without becoming one of those people? It's like, caught out. caught out by the paradox. Alright, this is quite common for this to happen, and it's also extraordinarily frustrating when it happens. Yeah. Often what you do is you just ignore it. I didn't break anything, Steve K. This is just the nature of these beasts. You gotta try and splice them, get them back open again without stabbing your poor little fingerings. Like nothing like a tweezer up the fingernail. Make you scream. Okay, it's looking alright. I think what often happens is they get overzealous with their drinking, and during the other part of the holiday week, and then they get to New Year's Day, and they're like, "Oh, we need a recovery here," and of course, naturally, they don't have anything left. I often wonder if I often wish I could put this in hot glue or something, and might be easier if I disconnect these in the hope that they don't get pulled out as well. What's the bet that no sooner I get this one fixed up, one of the other ones are going to pop right off. Hey Tony W. I can't even hold this thing properly. It's like I need a little micro vice grip. You can usually do that with tweezers and a rubber band, but it's just a little bit tricky at this scale. Could always do it Mr. Bean style. Nah, that's not in, I can tell. That's just crushing off the side. I don't know if anyone's seen the Mr. Bean episode where he gets a new TV and he tries to get it to work and it doesn't because the cable's not connected. So he just grabs the cable and twists it around, jams it into the plug, being a UK plug, and magically he happens to get lucky and it all lines up, which of course does not happen. Oh shoot, doesn't happen in reality. Of course, all that happens is you just blow things up, like the switchboard breaker. But yeah, when I'm pushing these in, that's all I can think of is that Mr. Bean episode with the TV and him making that plug work. Fire truck. Looking forward to meeting you. Yeah. Let's see if I can. Half the time I wonder whether these are actually done properly in the first place. Because that little portal in there does not seem big enough. Looks a bit better. And remove the SMD and solder directly to the board. Yeah, that's... I know you... Yeah. It can get awfully tempting at times to do that when it's... You're really starting to get aggro at this. Problem I'm going to have here is that I can't really actually take any more length on this. It already is basically as short as it can go, so I can't even remake. I don't know if that's successful or not. Most certainly is not. The other cheat you can do, and I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm feeling like I'm going to have to, is to actually solder that core. Now it's risky because often what will happen is all you'll do is you'll just melt the core and it will splay out at the side of the plastic insulation that is contained within. But it's bouncing around too much for me at this point, so I really need to get it more mechanically secure, and the only way I can do that without stripping it back and doing it again, which I do not have enough length, is to hit it with a little bit of solder and hope the solder does the trick. A quarter, I was going to say 2/4, you mean a ½ inch, but yeah, 1/4 should do it nicely. I mean, you can just see the heat from the iron alone is... Okay. That may have given us just what we want. Have our dead screen cut and shut. Yeah, it's probably going to take me just as much time, and we'll give this technique a shot. There we go. We are home. Success. Like I said, it's not a technique I usually like to use because more often than not that core will just splay out the side and you'll have a ruined cable, and you will have... It's like a one-shot thing. It's like you're either going to get it right or it's going to be a complete cluster. And I need to rotate this 180 so that it matches with the rest. And then now here comes the fun bit. Got to crimp the SOB without accidentally just spitting it out like a Julia Roberts snail in the restaurant. Crikey, these things are annoying. Give the customer an Ethernet cable. There we go. What else is annoying, Stuart? You tell us. Yeah, Travis, I'll tell you what. I'll let you be the one that does the pull test on that, not me. No siree. Oh. Testing will be done in the form of booting it and seeing if we get Wi-Fi. What I can do to give it a little bit of security is put my little sliver of hot glue on it. I might just do that. Just sort of like on the back here. You don't need a lot. Best UFL IPEX tool. Ooh, let's have a look at this IPEX. I mean, I don't have a problem paying money for a tool that can do that, even if it's like 150, 200. Most of the time, though, those tools are 600 plus. Let's see, and the winner is what? $30. Oh, they're just extraction tools, right? I got it. I thought you were going to show me a tool that actually lets you recrimp them. You raised my hopes and then dashed them. Well, for that reason, you're right, Werner. I should get one. Cut another shaving off and do the next one and two. That's a little bit much, so we'll chop that in half. Hey Nelson. I did not yucky do it. It's just hot glue, man. You gotta learn to embrace the power of hot glue. It's a useful substance in small quantities. I too was once a non-believer. If you're wondering, I'm just using like 150, 160. That should do nicely. Should keep me out of trouble for today. I don't use it for hinges though. That's why I use tiny amounts. Alrighty. Well, before I put the brackets on and everything, we're gonna put the battery, put the camera connect, and we'll boot this into our macOS test environment and see how it goes. Now, removing the hot glue is very easy. It'll just peel off. Because the metal isn't porous, and the coaxial cable is not porous. So it's more like it's kind of like, when you use Plasti Dip and things like that, except it's just hot applied Plasti Dip. Come on, come on, come on. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have the new multimeter arrive too. That'll be rather exciting. Not sure how my timing is going to go though, because tomorrow's going to be very busy. But it'll be nice to see if the meter turns up. And the first thing I'm going to do is check to see what that continuity speed is going to be like. Hey David. If that continuity speed, if it doesn't start beeping before I've even touched the probes, then it's going back. You've already programmed for that one? I haven't programmed for the GW Instec one, but since it is an SCPI protocol, it shouldn't be too much trouble. Famous words, but it shouldn't be too much trouble. Alrighty. Unfortunately, my 5G networks, I don't know if they'll show up. Battery's good. Yeah, Travis, I know. I was foolish. Did I more? Oh, I haven't actually, no. I do need to. Yeah, I don't seem to have speakers. Well, I do now. Okay, so this is using the Intel. Oh, is this the 3332 board? Did I miss that? Oh no, wait, this is a 1502. There is no 3332. Don't mind me, I'm just brain farting. Keyboard's good. Gotta always test those keyboards. Yep, FaceTime is fine. Audio is good. If it ever snowed in Ipswich, that would be quite something. Certainly you guys get hail, but snow... I think the furthest I've ever known snow to come up is just short of the border of Queensland. I'm just checking to see what the temperatures run up at too. I'm pretty happy with that. Steve, I haven't even been partying unless you consider the amount of chocolate and coffee that I've been consuming. That and ham with Australian mustard. That's about the limits of my consumption. Brad, which app are you talking about? There's quite a few I was using there. Have you got your hands on M1 yet? I haven't yet. I do want to, but unfortunately at this point all of my investment money has to go towards the house. Otherwise I would definitely already have a couple in my arsenal. Brad, that temperature sensor, it's crikey. What is it? I think it's HW Sensors or something like that. It's a funny thing because it lists itself as one name for the Google entry, and then when you install it, it comes up as a different name. But yeah, I think it's HW Sensors. It's a free program. Okay. I don't remember if this came with a hard drive. I don't think it did. I'll have to check. Certainly I don't have a hard drive. I don't have a hard drive with a sticker on it anywhere. And I'm usually pretty pedantic about that. I'll just go back and look at the video from the other day when I pulled it apart, and I'll be able to have a look and see if it was in fact included with a solid state or not. But I'm fairly sure it didn't. Came up the question mark first time you bit it. There you go. Thanks, Tony. Can always rely on the collective mind of the chat group to provide some sort of insight. Right, HW Monitor is part of the HW Sensors package, right. Thank you, Pernov. Yeah, that explains the name difference. Okie dokie. That one is done and ready to go to its much wanted home. Alright, stick that over there. Ach, niemand. I forgot to put the... God damn it. I've got to find a way to put these CPU rubber dots in the container in such a way that I remember to actually put them on before I put the back plate on. But because, see, they sit on the top of the assembly, I don't realise that I've forgotten to put them on until I close the lid, and then it's too late. Mongrel of a such and such and such and such. Well, I guess I'll just practice my panel removal technique again. And here we are now undoing a MacBook bottom plate yet again. See, now if I was a lesser tech, I would just say, oh well, that sucks, and still ship it anyway. Hey Sinclair Research, how's it going? Yeah, always something small messing with it. Yeah, it's not too much of a problem at these sort of times when I'm not, running crazy around trying to keep people happy and jobs from catching fire and things like that. But it's certainly not the sort of thing you want happening, when you've got a busy day going on. Okay. I mean, I know it's a comparatively trivial thing, but I do like to try my best to keep things as original as they were. And it also reminds me I need to peel off this. So there are. There was a reason for me to get the back panel off. And another thing, crikey, I missed 3 things. I missed taking the plastic off, I missed putting the dots on, and I missed putting the shroud on. Gee whiz, and you call yourself support group? Yeah, you guys will complain bitterly about an audio glitch for 6 hours, and then make sure that I continue to get comments about the audio glitches for weeks after, even after I've fixed them. But you forget these simple things. This is why I don't hire any of you. This is why Lewis Rossman won't hire any of you. Nah, Pedro, you just get stronger on the abuse. You like it too much. Hey, James Ewing. I gotta find someone to blame in life. I mean, Lewis pays out on me all the time whenever he does something wrong in the software. Superhelp Gaming. Superhelp Gaming. What's the bet Superhelp Gaming starts spamming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commander Keen. Yeah, pretty much am. I mean, obviously I've gone over a lot of, I've read a lot of the work and watched a lot of the work done by other people in the industry. This isn't the first time I've done repairs for electronics or computers, but I didn't get started with MacBooks until probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm a little bit behind the curve compared to other people. Hey Raj Singh. Okay, I'm going to boot it again just to be sure it works. Oh, you can laugh about the fact that I'm that paranoid, but you do this enough, you start to get that paranoid. Now, I'm not holding down the option key to make it choose its boot, to see if it finds it itself. Too modest? I don't think so. I think I'm just the right amount of modest. John Mellor. Yeah, Pedro with his A1534s. Yeah, I don't know why you touch them anymore. A1534s will touch you in a bad place. Do you think M1 Max will be the end of the road for Mac repairs? Brad Trolson. No, they're not going to be that much different to the existing, say, 1932s or any of the 19 or 20 series ones. In many ways, they're actually very similar. So, at least for the first generation of the M1 Max, we should have no trouble repairing them. In some ways, they may actually be more repairable because they have moved a lot of the stuff that we couldn't repair into a smaller zone, onto the actual CPU assembly, which leaves the liquid damage and such to only be touching the things that we generally could repair. I also noticed that they now have put shields around their VRMs and the CPU sort of sections of the power generation, so that should hopefully stop us not being able to repair a job because it killed the CPU and such. So I think it's going to be much the same. The main trick is when will we get the schematics and the board views. Okay, so that's good. Oh, I saw that $1 depositor person. They were looking for their MacBook or something, but apparently it wasn't actually yet there. Maybe they just were feeling generous. Could have been something as simple as that. Pelnov, I guess time will tell whether it is. I have a feeling it should be, simply just from the thermals. The only trick maybe, though, is that because it is a new process, they're running 3 or 5 nanometer. That could be the only real weakness, if maybe the 5 or the 3 nanometer doesn't have the durability of, say, the 10 or the 7. Of course, when they talk about process size, like, 14, 10, 12, 5, 7, whatever, different companies will mean different things based on that number. So Intel's 10 nanometer process may actually be the same size as what someone else is calling their 7 or their 5. So you can't really do a direct comparison between the companies. They tend to fudge things a lot. Hey, Richard Bicker. But, if they're only using 1/10 or even 1/5 the power of the Intels, then I can imagine they will last fairly well. I think the bigger risk of premature, how could you say, premature death will be more if we shift to new encoder standards and things like that, and then the hardware accelerators that they've tied in onto the M1 are basically going to become irrelevant. But I don't see that happening in a hurry. I mean, we're still using some old, hell, people still use MJPEG sometimes, which is crazy, but they do. It has its uses, I guess. Oh wow, I left that little ball still there. Hey Solaris, have you seen the Pinebook Pro? I haven't, no. I tried to get the Pine people to release, because they do release board views and schematics, but it's all in PDF format, and I tried to get them to release it as a board view format, and they just like look at me or responded back to me as if to go, huh? What do you mean? It's already in there. It's like it's not useful in that, not as useful in that format. So I think I'm going to have to start or come up with a document or a video or something to demonstrate to people why we have this schematic and board view how they're different, why you can't just have it all in a PDF for maximum functionality, why it's safe to produce a board view format and not risk your intellectual property and things like that. I need to come up with a really good sales pitch, so to speak, to companies who have some interest in releasing that kind of data but aren't quite sure what to do. So, because there was one person who was asking me the other day, and I could feel they were getting frustrated. I could sense that they weren't grasping the concept, and it was more because of the way I was explaining it. And the other thing is, once people have a preconceived idea of what they're going to be dealing with, it's very hard to like dislodge that and change it to what it should be. And I just don't have that ability yet, so I'm going to have to work on that. It's a project. Okay, get some hot air going here and try and get this solder ball in. Richard, the trouble is I don't really have someone I can trust at this. I don't really have someone in that position at this point, or a company that I can use like that. So I'm just gonna have to keep refining it. Subin, you can always email me. It depends what it's about. Yeah, because I don't get a lot of time to myself anymore, so I'm very quick to turn off a conversation. I'm very quick to turn off a conversation if it turns out someone's asking me for something for free or whatever, or trying to offer me something that they want me to pitch on stream. I used to be a nice person, but I had too many people wasting my time, so now it's short of someone saying, look Paul, I've already put $1,000 into your PayPal and I just want you to give me your opinion on this, then I pretty much don't pay much attention to requests on email. The damn hot glue's all over my stuff. Already turned it off. Ah, right. 1502.49.42 will not work on original MagSafe. Change the queue, blah blah blah. But no change will not work. So what? I2C issues? NordVPN. And I was disappointed to see Alex Steele getting right back into promoting NordVPN again. I'm sure he is actually quite an amazing bloke in what he's done with how old he is. He's gone from just being, a backyard UK blacksmith, and now he's just, the guy's definitely an entrepreneur of sort. Okay, so we have 3 resistors we need to put down here, of which most we cannot put down. There's no copper pad for me to put them onto or anything. And Nusacat? By the way, the wildling cats, they are just out and about doing their thing. They are no longer in the house with us. I was a little concerned with Talia, because she's out well before the 10 days that I would normally prefer to keep spayed female cats in observation. But once, there's nothing much I can do. But she did heal quite well, and the surgeon who did the work, they do a really nice stitch on them now that it's not an external, there's no external stitches that you can see. It's sort of like it's an internal tuck stitch. It's fantastic, fantastic work that they do. And as a consequence, the cats don't. You don't have to put a cone of silence or cone of shame on the cat. They don't pick at the stitches or anything like that. So brilliant work by the clinic. And if it wasn't for them having done that brilliant work, then we'd really be in strife with these girls. I'm just trying to work out my bearings here, what I'm trying to do. Yeah, Stuart, that's a way of saying it. Well, we'll shift the top one since that one is actually viable. David, it could be your SMC. Have you considered that? But I would probably change all your I2C stuff, your Sys1 wire stuff. And just work back towards the SMC at that point. Yeah, basically just replacing the simplest things first. And then if you finally get to the SMC, you can go, oh well, I wasted my time doing the simpler things, but at least I didn't go the other way. Yeah, Stuart, this is more of a challenge than anything else. Alright, so this one here we've done. Yeah, this is the ball that we could see. And it goes to the one below it, which goes to pin 2. Let's do quad view. Even though it makes my CPU just choke and die. Oh, thank you, Solaris. Yeah, we definitely like our kitties for sure. Alright, so the second resistor is going to sit here, and the third one here. These two pads here are connected, and they go to pin, so they go to this line here. So these two connect to that trace there. So let's see, what I might do is run a wire and create a bit of a point for the resistors to sit on, and yeah, that should be doable. Damn it, where's my wires? Normally I've got a cache of free wire floating around. Ah, here we go. Just snare one of these. This stuff is a little bit like rebar compared to what I need. If you're not sure what I mean by rebar, it's metal bar that you use in construction, setting up like foundations, concrete foundations, things like that, reinforcement. It's probably going to be easier for me to turn this board sideways. I should point out this is not going to be a customer board. This is more just going to be an experiment, a bit of practice for me. It actually wasn't meant to jump in on that point there. I gotta say, I do marvel at the people who do things like in iPhones and they produce those rather ornate, perhaps a little bit too flourishy, but very skilled nonetheless. Those little spirals that they use for lost pads and things like that on iPhone 10s and such. You can't deny that there's definitely a talent there that I don't have. Yeah, these people, they just make it look so effortless. Kind of like, who's the painter that just makes paintings appear before your eyes really easy? Ah, I got the wrong combo here. Bob Ross, thank you very much, Eddie. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'll see these people do stuff like that and I'm like, that is just impressive. Impressively amazing. Or the people who do CPU replacements on iPhones, things like that. It's seriously good talent. And a lot of them are doing that with very limited equipment. Yeah, they can do it with 1/10 the equipment that I've got here. So it definitely has my admiration for what they do. Alright, we accidentally knocked our ball off. Oh, that's no fun at all. Looks like we should still have it there. The veer, that is. What's going on here? What was this? And now we've ruined that bit. And I've lost my ball. Tuan or was that Tuan Du, speak better English than I speak Vietnamese. I can't even speak Mandarin properly yet either, which I know is Chinese, but point stands. Crap. I'm gonna have to put some solder paste down there. Probably about time I ordered a new little container. Oh, you can't see squat. Just realised I've turned off that feature. It's getting to the point I'm going to have to order another little vial of solder paste. Okay, that's way too much paste. That's good. That's good. That might work. Assuming I don't over melt everything. I got too much flux there, damn it. There's enough bulls sticking around, so it might happen. Come on, bulls assemble. There we go. That worked. He's trying to treat them like Avengers. Avengers assemble. The last Avengers movie, Endgame. They really lost the plot there. I mean, seriously. So Captain Marvel can go straight through Thanos' ship, no trouble. But then they've got to have an assembly of 7 or 8 fellow Avengers to try and get the glove back to the time machine across the battlefield. So what the heck is with that? What is with the completely arbitrary power scaling going on there? Makes no sense at all, and just completely... It's like, okay, you're nerfed for the next scene. So, yep, that's great. And the last Star Wars, oh my goodness. Yep. Captain Veerable. A3X, I see you there. It's just that the inconsistency is the problem. There was just... Honestly, there was... If Thanos had been wearing the plot armor from that movie, then nothing would have killed him. Personally, I feel bad for the guy. Probably should put down a bit more flux for this one. Yeah, Jim, believe me, you're really not missing much. You sort of get to the end and you're very much, you're like, what the... I know it's out of focus, folks, I know. Crud. That moved. The sad thing is, over time you do sort of say to yourself, maybe I should just watch it to see what's so bad about it. And honestly, I think they're kind of depending on that. They're kind of saying, please watch it just to see how bad it is. Supposedly, I think the biggest problem that they're having with the whole franchise is that no one's really buying into the new characters, so they can't shift any real merchandise other than the old stuff. Crud, stop messing with the pole, but I gotta... Yeah, oh shit. Spasms, my good friends. Spasms. Let's see, the thing about Endgame is it's not bad enough to be bad enough to be entertaining. It's cringy, facepalmy, and awful. Yeah, that's kind of true, you know, it's At least I gotta admit, with the last Star Wars, it is so bad and so terribly cringeworthy that it's almost entertaining for the fact that it's so bad. Alright, now we've got to run a wire from this trace here up to this pad, and honestly, this is why I would not give this board to anybody. In hindsight, I think what I should have done is actually bring the bar, this wire bar, bring it out back a little more, and then actually have the end caps resting on the so you have the bar, the cross section of the bar, and then the resistor sitting up like this. Oh, you can't see. Shoosh. I could, you know, now that you actually mentioned that, I basically should just simply put that resistor there and there. Yeah, I could put it there and pad it on there. I guess I just like to try and keep the resistors in their original positions so that if someone has to service it later, the resistors are in their correct positions based on the board view and the schematic. Vladimir, merchant idea. Custom beer coasters with the cats. But I don't do beer. I'm not really sure what to do about. Hell, I can't even work out what I'm doing with. I've got giveaways and I don't know how to do them properly without getting myself into strife with YouTube. I know, I'm train wrecking this, but just bear with me. Please stand by while the train misses the station and derails. Get off me, you stupid bug. I mean, you unfortunate bug. Wow, I'm having such a hard time here, it's not funny. In terms of my spasmy. The whole RTC area has to be redone anyway. Alright, we really haven't got a hold of that via. I'm gonna have to just plunge a bunch of paste down there. I hope that something sticks. Maybe not that much. Funnily enough, is because I double barred that piece of wire that it's giving me more grief. So by trying to do things more securely, I've actually made things harder for myself. Bravo, Paul, bravo. Mr. Daniel's beard merch. I don't know. I don't really possess a notable beard as such. It's more just like oh yeah, Paul's got a beardish thing. Chris Long, you sort of look at him and you go, okay, he's a bearded man. With me, you just sort of like, oh yeah, he hasn't bothered to shave for a couple of months and he just gets away with it for now. Right, I can only hope that that paste managed to grab JV Metal World. One big block of that. Alright, and I will run just a teeny bit of rebar. I know. I didn't have to, but I'm going to. This is how you waste. This is how you don't make a profit in business. By wasting your time doing stuff you really don't have to do. Yeah. Hey, Paulie Lewis. I do like JV World a lot. I've used it to repair a great many things. Hey, Andrew Hughes. Is the right pin on the middle of the resistor clear? The tack on top. Wow. I'm not sure. We'll check it in a bit, okay? Not quite sure what you're referring to yet. Why you no stick? Oh. Public service announcement. Touching soldering iron tips hurts the fingers when they're on. Great. After all that, I end up making a Hershey kiss. No, it just was a case of the tip wasn't able to get onto the tip wasn't able to get onto the board, so I couldn't get any heat transferred through to the board. That's better. Fair warning, this 3437 board is not worth the time I'm investing in it right now. In case anyone's thinking of being foolish and following my footsteps here. So sometimes you just can't get the angle when you're sitting on the piece of wire to get it to actually get the heat into the bottom of into the trace. Okay, we've still, I'll just remember, we've still got this one down here to do. Marvellous. now pull straight away. No. Okay, so this is the next one we've got. So we have a trace that stops short around about here. And let's see, 3v3 sus. Fortunately, the 3v3 sus, although it doesn't show on the board view in the schematic, it is actually this entire flood fill here. So this is all 3v3 sus. So we basically just need to connect this to this. And I will take liberty here and bring the resistor down so it comes out here, and then we'll run the trace in. Just not too much. Okay, still got a bunch of corrosion in there. And after all this, it's probably not going to work. Pin R6114, 6117. Which one? You're talking about pin 2? Hang on, let me just transfer this across first. Pretty sure they are clear. You're talking about how close the bent wire gets to the actual trace. Slow setting. Come on, that was iPhone. Hey Greg, welcome. Hey, you're talking about the gap between that trace and the back here of the resistor, I'm guessing? There is enough clearance there. Quit tombstoning on me, you blasted little resistor. Yeah, great. Everything I had nicely lined up is all not so nicely lined up now. Oh well. Hey, Mr. Schraman. Well, I certainly hope it's going to be prosperous, and yep, it better damn well be prosperous. Also, I have to give Santa a talking to. Actually, all I want is a home loan. That's the cruel thing, is like all you want is the ability to owe the bank a whole lot of money and pay back over the next bunch of years. Hopefully I'll find out tomorrow, at least if I've been pre-approved, and if I've been pre-approved then we've got to go through the process of getting the house evaluated again. That's going to suck. But these are the things you got to do. And as I said, this, by the way, this board, for those who have just come in, this is not a board you would normally invest the amount of time I'm investing into it, but we're doing it for entertainment's sake more than anything else. So I don't want to hear a bunch of people saying, why are you fixing that board? It's a 3437. Nobody bothers to fix those for that long, especially if it comes out of the mouth of Mr. Rossman. That's a terrible way of doing it, Paul, but you're going to do it. Keith McDermott, typically they default to about a 25 or 30 year. I think it's 25 is the one we went in for. Realistically, with the current income that I have, I'd be disappointed in myself if it's not done in 4 years. Alright, that's pretty god-awful, which means it would be perfect for giving back to the customer. Yeah, definitely a lot of green work's going to be required on this one. Well, we barely even started here. We now have to... Definitely these two outer resistors need to go. They look just a little bit too shonky. Maybe I should wrap the board in alfoil. There we go, they're gone. Flux is starting to get a bit dingy. I might have to get a new tube soon. Your rent payment's about the same as yeah, actually the rent payments are more than what the mortgage will be, and that includes what I should be paying on the land rates. So the cost of repayments plus the land rates is cheaper than what I pay in rent. Looks like I've been abusing this board, this self-healing board. Looks like it hasn't really self-healed properly. My fault. I'm supposed to have my silicone mat under there. Whoops. Hey, Rugvid Tapari. Welcome. Okay, well, that's truly disgusting. Alright. I just noticed that trace there is pretty much butchered. Yay! Clock line, no good. Ah, hilarious. Just when you think it's not going to get any uglier, it gets uglier. Especially when I'm using the micro pencil on an area that is well known for having a lot of thermal sink. Oh wow, this actually this might even push me over the limit, to be honest. Well, I agree, it doesn't need to look good, and yes, you're right, it just needs to work. This makes me wonder whether this even would work. If we've had a bit of an excessive voltage on the 3v3 rig, the RTC 3v3, then we may not have a functioning PCH anymore. And if that happens, then I'm actually just going to blame Palnov. Since he's the king of PCHs, anything that goes wrong is his domain. Do you remember your first ever repair? Well, I remember my first ever MacBook repair, but I had plenty of other repairs prior to that, but certainly for the first MacBook I do. It was a 2936, and it was just a classic one-wire fault, thankfully. I did all the usual things where I thought, hey, I'll just change the MagSafe, and that didn't work, obviously. And I did not have a microscope at that time, and I only had a pretty standard, like, chisel bits. I think the smallest thing I had was a 0.2 millimeter bit. And what I would do is I would do the replacement best I thought I could, and then I would take a lot of photos of the area, and I'd use the macro camera capability of my camera, and then I'd have a look at the photos and go, oh yeah, that pin's not quite done, so I'd go back and guess at what I was touching with the soldering iron and take more photos and come back. It was a bit of a process, but in the end it did work. It was a while after that still before I got my microscope. Yanshu Patel, obviously, what are you, from India? I'm just repairing corrosion damage on this board and see if we can get it to work again. See if we have any luck. Right now there's a lot of bad corrosion. Gotta get it all out. Why is it that gamers, almost everybody who's got gamer in their name ends up being a spammer or a someone trying to get you to link to their channel? So shouldn't they be just trying to get better at gaming? Maybe I should offer to be on their team for Dota 2. They'll punish him. Oh, that looks like it's almost clean now. Pretty much put a chip down finally. Does the Mac version of Flexible View on the site have the new component views? No, none of them do at the moment. I haven't released the... You're talking about the square component view like I have now on this one? Like, you're talking about how the pads are coloured and square ends and things like that. That's not a public release at the moment. It will be shortly, but I'm just trying to decide whether I can cram in the open board data integration before I release this one. But yeah, no one has access to this yet. I sort of like to try and keep my major releases down to, one every 6 months or so. And I'm also going to drop the whole stable, beta and unstable type thing, and I'm just going to simply have, this is the latest, use it, and that's it. I will have access to the older copies, but for the most part it's just a case of keeping people moving forward. Because I'm getting more support requests from people on, say, 1160 or 1128, the older stuff, than I am from anything else. That board view is it's more a work in progress. People will get access to it at some point, but not right now, until I'm happy with it. Like I said, I'm working on the open board data integration, and in theory, open board data integration seems like it should be a walk in the park. But when you're trying to actually make it so that people can do querying and adding from within the code, the program itself, it becomes quite a bit trickier. And of course it does mean I'm going to have to incorporate network integration. And that's in itself not a major problem. I mean, I've done network integration with many programs, but it's still, I have to think about the protocols and what communications I'm going to use, how to format it, because I don't want to have to rip it up again 2 releases later. Oh, well, we know that Lewis will never be satisfied. Nikitanet, hello. You also been running into USB subsystem issues, microphone dropping away. Yeah, there's the Linux USB system. Really, it should be much better than what it is. So I don't know where all these contention issues are coming from, but they definitely, yeah, maybe it's just USB itself, but it is really not living up to the hype in many ways. Kind of makes me think of Java, not living up to the hype. Crikey, all the clock chips have been stolen on these. Hey, a clock chip. Hopefully not too badly damaged. I know there's flux around it already, but I'm just adding more. These chips are... that's got green all around it. I don't think I'm going to touch that. And I probably should put my silicon board down. Silicon mat. Let me state for the record that I strongly discouraged Lewis from trying Linux. I mean, I give him points for trying it again. I know he's not a noob at it. He has used it for many years. But I generally don't encourage anybody to use Linux unless they find that path themselves. I'm really not much of an evangelist for the things I use. There are just so many little annoyances. Oh wow, bugs flying out of it. There's so many quirks and annoyances and things you gotta just live with. And if your business depends on it and you don't want to be running into those, then I'd say, yeah, don't use it. I even said to him, you know, don't for a second keep using it simply. Yeah, hopefully he's not feeling like he has to keep using it because I wrote the software for the multimeter and the power supply. It's like, hell no. Don't torture yourself on my account. God no. I don't need that kind of martyrism on my back. Trying to get closer to the exhaust. That looks mildly acceptable. Certainly in Ethernet, I think I could do with a motherboard that has more built-in USB channels rather than loading it up with the PCIe cards that I've got. I mean, they do a decent job, but I can feel it's still not optimal. What I should do is actually spend the money and get myself a dedicated Magewell capture card for the HDMI out of the microscope. Because while I am doing HDMI capture right now, that is still another USB port it's using. So I think I need to free that up. Let's see. Now, what we've got to worry about here is these pins up here. They're all connected, and I'm not sure if they're going to where they need to go because that entire area was rotted away. So like if we look over here, okay, so that there is fine. That's 32 kilohertz out. Oh right, okay, so this is ground that's basically rotted away, and I would like to get a 2-port Magewell, but unfortunately it's just a little bit out of my price range. I can afford this single-port Magewell. It's like $350 delivered to Australia, 350 US. But the 2-port, which is what I would actually prefer, because then I can have I want to get a better overhead camera, the one that's this. I want to get a better overhead, and I want it for the microscope. So if I have a 2-port, I can capture those two. And then the face camera and something else I can just use normal webcams. Okay, so we've got to get ground. Pretty sure that knob there is the big ground. The multimeter will not be showing up. It's just giving me hell, this meter. They're good meters, these little portable ones, but when it comes to actually being on a live stream and connecting it to the PC and things like that, portable meters just, they're not for me. I think if Lewis got a chance to try one, he would be surprised at the fact that he can't go back to. Ah, damn, and this is the other thing, the batteries are running low on it. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna have to take the batteries out. Once you get used to having a bench meter, very hard to go back to a handheld. Right, nearly killed everything. Like I said, these are good meters, don't get me wrong. They're good meters, they're quick on the continuity, they've got a decent diode mode speed. They use 4 AA batteries, which is an absolute godsend. But they're still not a bench meter. Is it Elgato? Is it stupid or out of the question? I have looked at the Elgato, but I can't really... I think there are problems with the Linux drivers or something like that. So I think I'm better off with the Magewell. The Magewell has a proven track record. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Mongrel. And sometimes your batteries are just a fraction too big. Hopefully we'll get the new one tomorrow, Catherine. Hopefully. Don't get me wrong, it's a bit more of an investment than I wanted to put in. It's going to be like $550 Australian. In all honesty, I would probably be content to go back to the Vicky, the 8145, but there is a USB version of it, 8145C, and I think I would actually be happy with that. Great, we don't even have... And it'd be only like half the price. Hey, DC. Ah, yep, spring. That's it. Hey, any 555, how's it going? Alright, see if we can do that ground test that we needed to do. That's not a crack, by the way, that's a hair. See? It's actually reading fairly high on the resistance. It might be dirty probes. Jim, you can't say that about any 555. I was going to say that. So, yeah, any 555's clocked in. Okay. Stole my line. Alright, so we need to get the 2 pins that you can't see. You know what, I should actually just see if they're already connected anyway. They probably are. The only concern is that are they connected through the board ground plane, or are they just connected internally through the chip? Okay, so it does read that they're connected. Like I said, I don't know whether it's internal, the connection to ground, or whether it's through that great big central ground plane. I guess we'll just suck it and see, as we say. You're running out of timing puns. Well, it's about time, eh? Maybe you just need to reduce your duty cycle a bit and give you a chance to charge up to new ideas. Hey, Defum. Design replacement display, PCB. Oh yeah, I remember seeing that one. Yep. You'd lift it up. I'm not going to lift it up. Not for this. This, like I said, this is not even a customer job. It's going to be more of a test board. Right, we're definitely going to have to run that trace from that pin. This is more of a practice recovering from nasty damage type job. The rebar is actually going to be a little bit thick for this, but we'll see if we can get away with it. Okay, John, off to work. Take care of yourself out there. Okay, so jammed in. I don't know why I care. Especially when I muck it up like that. What's the point? It wasn't even needed. It was just excess for no reason. If anything, it's probably going to mess with the clock signal because it'll upset the... There won't be a balanced impedance now on those 2 lines. It really won't matter on this scenario. Yeah, because it was fun. Hey Josh, Wolf. Alright, that's not that one. Okay, Now, the other fault area that we had where we did see corrosion was by the CPU area, which I don't like one bit. Even though it's not actually on parts, this obviously does connect. They're all active connections. They do have power going to them. So when you get this sort of corrosion crap going on, you do worry that something's gone and maybe send some volts where it wasn't supposed to. Warren Stamps, no updates. I'm hoping in the morning I will hear. I did have to quickly send him a message though, because I was planning on having the house inspector turn up on, not tomorrow but the day after, but then it dawned on me that unless they're actually going to give me the loan, or at least pre-approve it, there's no point having the inspector coming in. Because otherwise that's just like $500 for nothing. So I messaged them every which way I could, and I'll call them in the morning as well and say, put a hold on that inspection until we know that I'm actually going to get a loan, or at least that I'm pre-approved for the loan. Because if the bank says, nah, we don't want to give you a loan, then that house inspection is going to be a $500 deficit to my account that I don't really want to have to cough up. And I will have to cough it up because it won't be... it's not the bank, it's the real estate place that does it. Okay, we're just getting aggressive here. I think we got rid of most of that. That actually looks a little bit borderline, that. I will put a bit of solder on that to thicken it up. Fortunately this time Newsacat, we did check that, and we made sure we haven't got the same person to come out. That would be hilarious. Otherwise, you know, the guy would sort of go, "Yeah, I just went there. I'll just cut paste. Hey, $500 for me for doing nothing." And that would really make me rage. No, but I think the problem here is that in order to do an inspection in this town, they actually have to travel 3 hours, so an hour and a half each way. So they're probably charging $100 an hour on that. Yeah, what can you do? I don't know why we don't have an inspector in this town. I guess there's not enough work for them, but you'd think they'd be doing other work as well. But another case of where living in slightly rural areas is substantially more expensive. I think we're actually at the point now where we can at least try, see if this works. It may not do anything, it may just go pfft. What would make it worse? The same inspector, different report. Yeah, maybe, yeah. Like if they say, oh yeah, no, this one's fine, yes, go ahead. You'd be like, seriously? Why couldn't you say that for the previous one? Why'd you have to drag me through all this drama? I do sincerely believe, though, that they are going to pretty much come up with the same thing. They're going to say the house needs essential repairs, and I mean, I respect that. But what's going to be the difference is whether they decide that they're going to be the determining price determinators of how much those essential repairs are going to cost. So the last guy said $50,000 with his pinky finger in his mouth, and I disputed that, but it was pointless. I still haven't found my chipmunks, and wish I knew where they were. I have got multiple chipmunks and I don't know where they are. Maybe up in the tree somewhere. Very frustrating when you can't locate tools that you use every day. Someone has a few too many Phillips drivers, pens, Torx, empty plastic wrappers, naturally. Deburrer, that as a left-handed person doesn't work unless you use it as a right-handed person. Alright, there's no chipmunks in there. You end up with so many of the same type of screwdrivers because often what happens is you go out on a job, you get called out while you're not prepared in the car with your normal travel bag, and you got to race across to the local hardware store and grab yourself yet another Phillips driver. And even if you leave them in the car, doesn't it look? Yeah, there's another. This is a posi drive. Oh well. Just let me stand up and have a look over here quickly. All these things, of course, that I keep blaming back on the fact that I just don't have the space I need to work effectively at the moment. Yeah, everything gets crammed up on top of everything. No. Disappointed in myself. I only saw it not that long ago. It's definitely around. Ah, there we go, there's one. Chipmunk found. Hallelujah. Oh, are you kidding me? After all that, the USB port is jacked. Oh. Someone broke the USB port. Well, oh, that's hilarious. We'll have to replace that. If this works, we'll have to replace the USB port. That is such a classic. And the USB port on the DCM board has got a folded metal tongue. So we're going to have to fix that. Hate that. Yeah. Smashed up much, buddy? So the only thing you can really do in these scenarios is just clip the damn things off. That one there's still got some hope. What a train wreck. Mark, they're challenging me. They're not telling me, they're challenging me. I'm supposed to rise to these challenges. Isn't that probably the most common difficult thing you have to deal with in life, is trying to work out whether you're supposed to push harder, keep going, prove your worth, or give up. It's the universe telling you you shouldn't be doing it. Yeah, so which is it going to be? Alright, here we go. So we've got a green light. Ooh, we had a momentary flash and then a... $25. It momentarily came up. Oh, wait, there we go. Now being at 34.37, it should come up again. Yep. Yep. And it should come up one more time, and then hopefully we get a green light after a bit. Heh, it works. The only thing is now we've got an effed up USB port that we probably will not be able to successfully replace. Well, it's working, yeah, so that's a good thing. The current rate's good, 400. It's about right for a 3437. Alright, let's have a look at this USB port. Oh, crikey, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. No one told me that. And let's have a look at why I'm dismaying at the fact that this USB port needs replacing. So now, okay, so it's been completely ripped out. It's been completely mangled and pushed back at that too. This, so someone threw it into the water. So we've got this port here, which is display port, and then we've got the SD card, and this is very soft, heat-sensitive plastic. It makes me wonder how the heck they managed to actually get them in the first place. I mean, clearly they do, but it's got to be seriously borderline on the reflow. Or maybe it does melt, but the fact that it doesn't get touched kind of saves it. Right. Okay. So much for that. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we're going to have to take this off. I'll see if I can shield up this stuff, but I don't like my chances, to be honest. I haven't had the best of luck in the past. And then you actually have to get one from another board. Alright, let's see what we can do. Got some iPhone screen backplates here. So what we can try to do. There's a DTP screen I had. They're the more expensive ones. Great, give that a shot. Okay, if you're wondering why the tweezers are in those holes, it's because the weight of the tweezers, as soon as this solder starts going soft, will yank the shield off. Or at least it should in theory. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Wouldn't be the first time. Think I'm expecting too much. Crap. Well, theory was fun. Reality's kicked in. On the upside, we didn't really do any damage to our nearby connectors, so that's good. Alright, now the next step is actually harder. What I got to do is put that shield back on, and then basically you're trying to get this whole board area here nice and up to temperature, and then have this whole connector drop out. What I'm going to do also is I'm just going to put some leaded solder across that, and the leaded solder will pickle the lead free in such a way that it should help it drop out a bit quicker. In theory. In theory. Right now I'm doing everything completely wrong. I'm also going to have to elevate the board slightly. Jim, sorry to hear about you having to grab the morphine again. Not good for you. I know you don't have a choice. Let's see, I just want a little bit of a weight. I've got a 50-cent coin around here somewhere. Yeah. I did have coins around here. Lo and behold, as usual, I have moved them. Use low melt solder. This is low melt solder. Low melt solder doesn't really help you that much unless you can actually get it down and to mix. Otherwise it's just going to sit up the top there and pretend like it's doing something, but it really isn't. Oh god, it's hideous. It's like something out of a horror movie. Oh no, I'm totally going to reuse that one. Just a lick of paint and she'll be right, mate. Yeah, I need to change my soldering iron tip here. Or do I? I actually just drop the air down a bit. It's a bit aggressive. 70 seems about right. Yeah, that's the first phase done. Now the hard part comes. It's the hard part because you've got to constantly keep retrimming. And refluxing. But it does work for clearing out those holes without having to sit there and try and drill the soldering iron into it. Oh, interesting. The camera decided to go all funky. Cecilia, I've got a very tiny amount of bitcoins. Someone did play a cruel joke on me and told me they were going to send me a whole bitcoin or so, which I sort of had my suspicions was a load of furphy, and it was true that it was a furphy. But I do have a little tiny bit of Bitcoin, but I've got mostly Ripple and LTC Litecoin. Place the camera on your right way. What? Why would I play? Well, I'm confused. What's going on? Oh, right. You mean, right, I get it. Like the audio. It's actually been a little bit more difficult than I'm used to. There are other cheating ways, like in really cheating ways, and what you can do is you just drill the hole through. Alright. No, we're not going to do the hole drill method yet. Jim, what have you done? What have you done? Okay, we sucked a hole there. You can tell because all of a sudden you get a flash of solder across the wick. And just then, we're running out of wick space. And then. It's not really practical to try and keep using that wick, even though there was areas on it that looked like they could take more. It doesn't work out. And I know there's flux already built into this wick, but honestly, it doesn't hurt to add more. Try to see how that goes. Might be just a bad cable. Pop. It's pretty cool when you see it pop like that. I'm just using a normal quick 861 DW like everybody else in the industry. Yeah, I did think I got aligned on that hole properly. Getting there, I know. You can see why doing connector replacements is generally much hated. Yeah, Lewis is peddling the other brand because Lewis is able to actually get stock and distribute the other brand. He basically gave up on Quick, and I don't blame him one bit. But personally, I think that both options are perfectly good. I do need to get a spare, but I'll probably get another Quick. Simply because it is what I've got. I'm used to it. I can, get parts, or swap parts between them if I need to. Damn it, that's not popping through. We're almost there. You can't just put the wick on top and just apply your soldering iron onto it. It just will not draw out of those holes if you do that. Okay, I've got the one up the top to do. It is tempting to get the new, a new plug and just sort of push it through, but I found too often that you end up with a plug that gets jammed halfway down or bends a pin in the PCB itself. It just usually causes me more dramas than what I'm saving myself from. Yeah, I mean, okay, this takes a few extra minutes to do to get them all cleared out. A bug just landed in my hair. Hopefully it wasn't a scorpion. It could be a bad connection, yeah. It could also be... yeah, I can only think of it as being a bad connection in all honesty. Oh nice, I've got bits of metal that haven't come out. Fantastic. Yeah, it's probably just a bad connection. It's very hard to do it this way because the clippers absorb a lot of heat. So you kind of need to... Ah, man, this is no fun at all. Oh, Travis, do not bring up that bug. I was just talking about that to a leader tonight, actually. Yeah, getting cockroaches or anything like that crawling into your ear it's genuine terror and horror stuff, okay? If it ever happens to you, you're allowed to cry. It is legitimately the stuff of nightmares. Because those suckers, they want to live, they want to get out. They're trapped in this nasty human ear environment. They thought they were going to a safe place, but it ends up, it's not so safe. And so they're just going to scratch, dig and bite their way out. Okay, I think I'm going to use these tips and push through the rest. Because what's happened is when that connector broke, it snapped off. It snapped off so many of the legs there. So we're going to use the hot air and then just push through those broken off legs. Jimbo, what I could actually do is just drill them out. But we'll try this first, just push them through. This is why I don't ever, when people complain and say, why are you charging so much just to replace a connector? It's like, this is why, because it actually takes a substantial amount of time to get them out. Okay, it's one down. Damn it, I'm running out of clearance here. Oh shoot, I just got jammed. Space jammed. Okay, let's try the very ugly angled tips. I don't have anything this fine. I don't have anything that's 0.25 or 0.2 mil, so I'm just going to use these angled tips. Try again. There we go. Now we'll just pick them off. Wow, there's still that one there that I didn't clear. Didn't see that at all. Naturally all these buggers are on the ground plane. Oh, I'm amazed, I didn't see that at all. Looks like we've got broken off connectors here too. Oh, brilliant. It's just brilliant. We use a scalpel to get that off. It's only on the ground plane, it's not going to matter. Mark, you mean like, you mean like I already did here? Like that? Yeah, I did that a few months ago. Just got to do a few more of different shapes. Wow, that's a toughie, that one. Doesn't want to come off. Alright, big iron time. Part of the problem of getting stuff through these holes is making sure that what you put in there doesn't steal all the heat. Crikey, this is actually really... Right, that was stubborn as. Very stubborn. Okay, so we've got the one more to go. Oh, we've got this one down here too. Some of these I swear I could just leave in there. They're so... Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get that out efficiently. Oh, and there's another one there. Crikey. Oh yeah, I can see him now. I was actually using those ones that I separated earlier, but the trouble is, because they're not at a 45 odd angle or whatever, I can't... There's not enough clearance under the microscope for me to get in and use them. So I have to use these ones. But they're not as fine as the other ones. Right, I think this one here is the one that's blocked. Okay, that's it, we got them all, yeah, that's them, they're all done. Now the real question is, can I even get myself a replacement connector? Well, I mean, technically I can. What I could do is just throw a whole board into the reflow oven and bring it up to temperature, and then when it's all at reflow point, and just pull it off. but I have a feeling that won't work so well, so we'll do instead a very slow melt and hope for the best. And you know, we might not be able to do this. We might not be able to effectively achieve what the result we want, but we're going to try, aren't we? Of course we are. Of course we are. I suppose the first thing to do is make sure that we get one that hasn't been butchered like this. So, it's not so bad, that one, actually. I mean, it's terrible, but it's not so bad. Just trying to think if we could... What are our chances of successfully removing that? I guess we'll try this as an experiment, shall we? Yeah, but the trouble is, like I was saying before, with low melt, you've still got to get it to penetrate. And with these sort of connectors, you can't get it to penetrate in far enough. By the time you've got it to penetrate, you've already heated it up enough anyway, where it would have released. It's fine if you've got surface mount type contacts or things like that, where it's very quick to get onto it. But to get its way through the whole circuit board, you've got to get the other stuff to at least get to some kind of melt point. So it doesn't really end up saving me at all, trying to go low melt with through-hole connectors. Yeah, I'm just trying to strategize how I'm going to have this happen. Very slow temperature increase. Yeah, I think I'll just go very slow and then see if it comes loose. That simple. Find myself a shonky old USB connector. Something dodgy that I don't care about. Like, yeah, someone's data recovery, they'll do it. So this. And that'll give me a bit of a handle for me to work, you know, drop it out with. Like that. Okay. So we're not going to care about the connectors either side. We are going to flood the living daylights out of it. Cut the board. Well, yeah, we could do that too. But I'm going to just try anyway and see. Now, it's going to take longer, but we're going to drop the temperature to about 380, according to my meter. We're not even going to have to remove that shield, the one that's over the pins. If this goes right, we shouldn't have to. Most of our heat focus just needs to be at the back and the sides. I just want maximum air, actually. Maximum effort. And more air. Yeah, it's starting to happen. Oh, look at that. No melt. Ah. Someone will claim now that I actually deliberately killed the camera to swap out the connector. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, like a SpaceX liftoff or descent. Can you believe it, eh? No melt at all. That just a bit of patience. That, I gotta admit, I'm almost impressed. Bite me, Sutter's Bridge. This is not the first connector I've done. First USB like this, but not the first connector. I've done these SDs quite a bit. Beginner's luck, honestly. It sounds like someone needs to be banned. Someone sounding salty. It's bloody cat hair everywhere. Yeah, doing things upside down. I have actually done that in the past. One of the notorious scenarios for those are USB connectors, micro USB connectors. Far too often you'll get the situation where um, on devices, I just got to squish this down a bit forcibly, where you think you've found a connector that's a perfect match, but the joke's on you because it's actually inverted. And so you go and solder something on that you think's the right connector, only to destroy the board you thought you were going to save. It's quite a anticlimax at the end. You're going to leave the shield off? Yeah, I think I will actually. Yeah. Alright, so yep, so that's looking pretty much right there. So just check that it is flat enough. Okay, see the metal tabs are aligned against the board. Yeah, I think that's pretty good going. I mean, there's plenty of slop in these things anyway. Alright, now we rebuild it because we have the technology. Oh, come on, don't be like that. I hate the fact that the pins don't actually sit proud of the hole. They're recessed pins. That's really annoying. Particularly these back ones here. Yep, gotta fill those cavities. I might actually have to do some assistive heat fill on these. Because basically they are the back metal shield on the top side. So it's going to be a bit hard to get enough heat into them directly. I am deliberately getting a little overzealous with the solder. Okay, for the assistive heat, I only need a small amount, like 250 is perfectly fine. We'll give it some flux though. And it shouldn't melt the plastic. Yeah, I can see now it's really draining down the and that looks pretty much factory now. And you can see it did get through. See how it's wicking up here, so you know you have gone through and gotten things warm enough. Interesting that got melted. I didn't see that there. Well, that sucks. Fortunately, it is mostly exterior, so that's okay. It's not great, but again, like I said, this is more my own board. This is another reason why I generally hate having to do connectors, is because inevitably you take out a connector next to it. So, fortunately you can just shave that off with a knife. Hey Mark, yeah, I was waiting for someone to say that, wasn't I? You're just playing up to it, I know. Look at that, just buffs right out. Good as new, mate. Alright. Okay, let's see if this actually will boot from... Ah, man. Actually, I can just put the chipmunk in there and the chipmunk will tell me. Because it will blink if it's got the data lines active. Admittingly, this will only be... see, this will only be USB 2, but it'll give us an idea. And then I can go to bed, given that it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so that starts. Okay, we've got a secondary issue here. Maybe. I should have plugged the fan in. Yeah, see how that blinked at the bottom there? That's not right. Well, maybe it is. Well, it actually does seem to be going okay. Tell you what, because I know you're all desperate with no lives, and yeah, I mean, if you're having to watch me for entertainment, you really don't have much of a life left. So I will be kindly and find a chassis to prove this assembly is working. Okay, 34, 37, good screen, cool. Yeah, Mark, I know it was the stop start sort of thing, but what the problem was is that normally I don't see the power button have a flicker as it changes. Normally it just sort of drops straight off. The flicker is what was a concern to me. It was like a residual spot of power or something coming on. I don't normally see it happening on there. Okay, where's it? Is that screen connector okay? It could just be who knows what, but we'll guess we'll find out, because if it doesn't boot, then we'll know something's up. Okay, we've got keyboard. Option. I could run it off HDMI cord, but it's easy for me to do it this way, and you get to see the result as well. Oh wow, we've got a bong? Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Well, we know that works. Oh, Steve. Oh no. That is one thing that if people will send me food or offer me food to eat and things like that, I'm very reluctant to accept food in most cases. I had a bout of what commonly we call food poisoning when I was overseas, and I never want to live through that again. So if anything seems even slightly like it's a little overdate or whatever, then I just avoid it. The sad thing is, in most cases, you cannot actually tell when food has gone bad, like chicken and things like that. And often, though, some people actually like the flavour because it's a slightly more peppery flavour due to the toxin byproducts from the decomposed bacteria. Alright, that's working. There you go. All fixed. Probably for no good reason. That board's probably going to sit around and do nothing useful for the rest of its life. But it was fun. And I got to upset solder bridge by getting that connector out without having to use low melt solder. That made it worth everything for me tonight. Alright, that's it. I am done. So, you can see my hair's all greasy. Better be careful, I might get invaded by the good old US of A with that much grease in my hair. I might see you tomorrow. You don't know. It's going to be a busy day though. I might have the multimeter. If I do, I'll make a effort to do a unboxing live stream. Not that I'm into the whole unboxing thing, but just more a case of if you want to see me take it apart, out of the box, test it and things like that, then I'll do that. But don't expect anything in depth or me sitting there going, I like the hardboard that they use for this box. It's a double E flute system and it hasn't been bleached. It's got a nice wax internal coating here, which means that in shipping that it won't get harmed by moisture if there's any in the air. So I'm not going to spend an hour getting into it. I'll just be like, rip open the box, get the multimeter out and play with it. So, alright, I'm out here. You'll take care. I'll see you next time.